My name is Annette Whittenberger. I am the host for Parents for Good podcast. I am so excited to be here. But before I get into everything, I want to share a special message from our co founder, Kim Carr.
Hey, my name is Kim Carr. I'm the executive director here at Digital for Good. I'm super excited about this podcast that's coming up, and here's the reason why. Cyberbullying is rising, and suicide is the number 2 cause of death nationwide for kids and teens. Students who've experienced bullying or were the offenders are more likely to attempt suicide than those not involved in any type of bullying. Hurt people, usually others or themselves. As children grow up in a digital world, we must teach them how to use digital for good. And here's the thing. The mentors who have been convinced that our parents are seeing that they need to do more. And that's the reason why they're creating this podcast, working side by side with students to hopefully help other parents see the need that is needed at Digital for Good. It is everyone's responsibility to help lead, educate, and engage. So join us as we start this Parents for Good podcast.
Such an important message, right? I'm just so excited to be a part of this whole team and to start off our podcast with a message like that. I want to get into who our amazing guests are, though. We have 2. First is Deja White. She is a marketing professional with over 10 years of experience, specializing in creating impactful multimedia stories that blur the boundaries between media, marketing, technology, and business. She loves innovation and has helped many companies build up their brands from the ground up. Wow. And our next guest is Kaitlyn Marsh. She serves as a Digital for Good and I Can Help's annual marketing intern, where she leads a team of 6 marketing specialists in promoting the organization and gathering sponsorships. Another amazing guest. I am just so flabbergasted, really, with who I am surrounded by. But let's bring them up. Hi.
Hey.
I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
Excited to be here too.
Yay. So I want to let's ask a question that we're going to start off with. And I want to start off with sharing one word you are feeling about today's conversation. So, for example, mine would be honored. I am honored to obviously be here amongst you guys to start this brand new podcast with Parents for Good. And I could just go on and on and on. So let's start with you, Deja.
I'm excited. I've always been a kid of the internet, and now I'm an adult of the internet. So I'm excited to chat about sort of how I've used it in the past and how I still use it and how I use it in my career. Oh, sorry, one word.
I know, right?
I'm super excited.
What about you, Kaitlyn?
Well, I was going to say excited, but I guess I'll say enthusiastic because it's pretty much the same emotions. I'm very excited to be here. Or enthusiastic, should I say.
I love it. I know that's going to be hard to describe it in one word every time. I don't know how I'm going to do that. So let's get into it. We're going to start talking about all kinds of things. And I'm going to start with Kaitlyn. As you reflect on your college application journey, what are some valuable lessons you learned about leveraging the technology positively in that application process? Like, how did it help you stand out and make a positive impact?
That is a really good question. And I do have to say technology helped me a lot in my application because when I was actually applying to college, I thought I wanted to go into aviation. And while I knew everything about the big state schools and I knew about Harvard and Yale, I knew nothing about a school that had anything to do with aviation. So while I did ultimately end up at the University of Texas, it wasn't, if I had not had the resources available to me through technology, I never would have learned about Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University and applied. And if it hadn't been for technology, I wouldn't have been able to research what these schools were really looking for in their applications. And that's how I was that's one of the reasons I was able to get into all 10 of the universities I applied to. I was able to curate my application just because I used technology, whether that was niche or whether it was all sorts of other platforms. But technology helped me get into school.
That is so awesome. I'm going to age myself big time. But I remember looking at schools and I had to request information to be sent to me.
Wow.
So I can look at the hard copies. We didn't have all that. So you would just get it in the mail and then you do the comparison like, oh, okay, that offers that. Just, yeah. So it's been a hot minute. So I love what is being offered now to you guys. It's just such a game changer.
It's so helpful too.
Now for Deja, looking back on your experiences, how has technology evolved since your college days, and how should parents support their kids in utilizing technology responsibly during that application process to foster a positive digital footprint?
Yeah. So I remember I didn't even have a smartphone, and some of my friends didn't even have smartphones our freshman year of college. Like my very first smartphone was freshman year. So Googling things on our phone very quickly, or even taking notes on our phone, like just things that we consider like basic things that we do. It was not as advanced, that we were not always on our phone doing all those things. So even that's like baby steps, step one. And then in terms of the tools that we used in our actual classrooms, um, we had access to collaboration tools like Google and things like that, but it's on a whole nother level. Now Google has things like jam boards where you can collaborate with your whole cohort. There are podcasts and things available now that you can listen to about a potential career path that you want. Virtual internships exist. Like there are so many opportunities. And then I went to school for film and television production. So a lot of things that we learned in our classroom. We didn't always have access to things. I went to school in Georgia, so we were not the Hollywood of the South at that point when I was going to school. So getting internships and things, information on the internet, things like that. It was very, it wasn't as plentiful as now, I should say. But now everyone has the opportunity, if you have access to the internet, to at least inquire about where you want to go in life or in your career. You can easily reach out to a professional who's already doing that. You can start a blog. You can start a YouTube channel. There are a lot of things that you can just do to get started on your career journey that felt a little bit out of reach when I was going to school. So yeah.
That's amazing, right? Like I can't believe what is being offered nowadays, and I think it's so great because again, back in my day, we didn't. You can request a roommate, or you can request somebody that had similar hobbies, but that was the extent of it. We didn't get to have all this, and even with my daughter started college 4 years ago, she was able to stay in the same dorm as all the other criminal justice majors. So it's like it's been evolving so much over time that it's just amazing what is being offered now. So I love that. Next question for Kaitlyn. Balancing academic commitments, extracurricular activities, and personal life can be challenging in college. So how do you manage it effectively, leveraging those digital tools and resources to maintain the healthy work-school life balance?
That I feel is a really important question, especially with just how overworked a lot of students are right now. I was the type to originally just get away with using a paper planner, and it was my best friend for several years. But I need more than that now. Like we talked about earlier, I'm in a couple of organizations on campus, off campus, and then with Digital for Good. So I actually have completely shifted to a Google Calendar, and it has been an absolute lifesaver. My mental health has never been better just because I've started using technology to my advantage. And while I love the act of using paper, it's been phenomenal and a complete game changer to just use these tools that are available to me, and they've helped me get grades that I've never imagined getting in college. So it's super helpful. And
That
it
is
makes
so
it for social life too.
That is so good. Now, if my daughter was listening, I'd be like, see, I told you. I keep telling her to use that Google Calendar, the task list, the notes, like everything is right there at your fingertips, right? And it just helps you. My calendar pops off all the time. This reminder. But it's helped, right? Like keep your sanity because then you'll remember, oh yeah, I put that in there. I don't know, I could talk
It
about
has been seriously a game changer because I hated it for the longest time. I didn't want to use it. Everybody else was using it. They got to the point where I couldn't schedule events with my friends because they didn't know my schedule. I didn't know theirs, and I was too busy. And I kind of felt FOMO without it. So once I finally got on it, I've been able to actually hang out with my friends, and I've been able to schedule study sessions where we're not always at the library until 2 a.m., which is super important to me personally because I don't like being there.
God. Yeah, I can't do that. I'm in bed by then. Question for Deja. In your professional career, how has effectively managing tech and nurturing a positive online image influenced your career opportunities and interactions with peers and clients, and what guidance would you offer?
Yeah, so I recently read somewhere, I'm really into horoscopes, and they're like, in September, in the month of the Virgo, you have to automate things. And I'm like, well, I've already been doing that. So I don't even need a month to tell me to do that. So in my career, I've always used Google Calendars, Google Drive to collaborate with others, even coming from college before I even stepped into my career. I was already on top of that. I like being really, really organized, and I always look for tools to help me organize my life. And now we're stepping into a world where AI is a thing. Some people like it, some people are a little nervous, but no, I love it. If I need to write an email, I'm like, give me some suggestions on emails that I should write to this particular person. And then the AI spits it out. So like that's just like an example of something that you could use in your professional career. Of course, you can use things like calendar schedulers as well. So that takes your Google Calendar to another level. I personally like to use a tool called Calendly. You send a link out, and the person can look at your entire calendar. It takes into account what your schedule is, and then they just choose a time that also fits their schedule. And then an automatic Google virtual link is sent to that person. So it removes you from the process entirely. And that's sort of what I look for and what have been looking for throughout my career. And then I also like to contribute to the thought leadership that's on online spaces such as LinkedIn. So the more that you do that and you put yourself out there, you'll start to get like people coming to you asking you questions about your advice or your career journey. And then tools like that helps. So that you're still there. It's still personal, but it just helps you a little bit. And if you don't have the money to hire someone to help you out, these tools are there for you. And a lot of times they're free. So that's a little bit about how I've used it in my personal career. And if you do start putting yourself out there, it's good for your career. Like I said, people will start coming to you, and doors will start opening as well.
I love that you mentioned all that. Google Drive is amazing.
Yeah.
Being able to collaborate with other people rather
Yeah.
than having to, here, let me send you this document. Let me send you it's all in the drive. It's
Yeah.
3 email accounts and a drive with each one. So I love it.
It helps. Yeah.
It's amazing. I also love how you talked about Calendly. Oh my gosh. Before I even knew what that was, I would spend too much time emailing back and forth. Well, what about this date? Well, what about this date?
Yep.
Look at the calendar. It's just amazing. AI, I'm still learning. Selena's teaching me that. I love her. She is seriously. But yeah, she's been teaching me all the time. I'm like, wow, what? Yeah, so I'm still learning. So thank you for sharing all those. I think everyone needs to know about it, right? I mean,
it's coming. It's coming. Whether people want it or not, a lot of tools are starting to like integrate some sort of AI functionality even if they're not AI yet, they're still calling it AI. So they have plans to integrate it into it. So yeah, for sure.
Right. I can talk about that all day because I'm still reading. People still have thoughts about AI and how to use it, but I think if you use it the right way, it can work to your advantage. So yes. Let's see. Next question. Um, for both of you, cyberbullying and online abuse can be significant concerns for students and professionals alike. How can parents and educators guide students to become responsible digital citizens who promote kindness, empathy, and positive engagement online to combat such issues effectively? And let's hear from Kaitlyn first.
I feel like this may be a simple answer, but I feel like part of the reason that it's not addressed, and this is coming from someone who was cyberbullied for a while, it's just a difficult conversation to have. And I feel like it's necessary to have these difficult conversations with your kids and tell them that this is what it looks like. I found out when I was being cyberbullied, I had been bullied for several years, but I didn't realize until I started seeing mean comments on my Instagram, and I finally put two and two together. So I just feel like having those conversations of what a healthy and positive relationship looks like, both physical and online, would be the key to that. And it's not a conversation that everybody's going to enjoy, but I feel like it's one that's completely necessary and is probably the best form of prevention out there. It's just simply having that conversation with your kids and to keep evolving that as they start getting on more and more social media platforms so they know what red flags to look out for.
No, you're so right. I mean, I was even cyberbullied, and I was like, "Are you serious? Like, we're grown adults." But it happens, right? It happens to everybody, and you're right. I think you need to have that conversation. Gosh, and you need to start young, right? Because social media, 10-year-olds are on it, 9, whatever, and it needs to be had. So, yeah. Deja, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm gonna date myself a little bit.
I'm pretty dated myself, so go.
When I was in high school, Twitter was just starting, and Tumblr was like the hottest thing. And like, unless you shared your Tumblr page, like no one knew you were on Tumblr. So personally, it's something that even my age group has had to learn about because we were entering adulthood around the time when a lot of these new social media platforms started forming. So even we need to have conversations with our friends and our families and maybe our nieces and nephews and the generations coming up after us about how we communicate, how we appreciate other people's thought processes. I think a lot of it comes from people not giving other people grace. So we all have different opinions. We all have platforms where you can share those opinions. Um, and unfortunately, a lot of people, if they don't agree, they feel like they can also share their opinions about why they don't agree, or maybe attack a person about their viewpoints. So I think it starts with ourselves a lot of times, like having the conversation, giving other people grace about what they feel, and then understanding that we also have our own platforms to share how we feel or what we're feeling, and we shouldn't attack other people, but maybe use our platforms to share our ideas and our thoughts in a constructive way. But yeah, that's how I approach it, and that's how I tell other people to approach it. Especially as someone who blogs a lot and shares my personal experiences and thoughts and things like that. It can sometimes rub people the wrong way, or we could have some heated conversations in the comments. So trying to understand both sides has been helpful for me, and that's what I tell other people as well.
No, I absolutely agree. I used to blog a lot, and you're never going to make everybody happy, right? But there's always a time and a place on where you offer your opinion. And it's the way you say it,
Yeah.
And I think people get the keyboard warrior. You'll go on there and you just start spouting off things.
Yeah.
Give people grace, chill out a little bit, think, but everybody leads with their with their heart, with their head. They go right after it. So
yeah, I think it's a learning curve. We never really learned how to use the internet. I think people were just like, here's the internet, here are all the things you can do.
right.
And then like we're just learning in real time.
You're right. But we have to teach the next generation on how to properly use it. It's like, you're right. It's still a learning curve. It's been around for a while now, but we still need to be that person, I guess, to be like, okay, this is how you should do it.
Mhm.
Whatever. Okay. Oh my gosh, you guys, I can't believe that was our last question, but I feel like we could have been talking about this for forever. So thank you for your input. And I really hope people watch this because there's so much to learn from the both of you. And I think you guys are both amazing individuals. Like, I learned a lot from you already. So thank you for being here and letting me ask you these questions. So we'll get into what we're going to share next. So if you want to grab a copy of the parent guidelines for social media and device use, please go to the link. That way you can empower yourself with invaluable insights and forge a stronger, digitally resilient family tomorrow. We will share that link. And that's it. That's it for today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, or having us in general.
Thank you for hosting.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yay. So for those of you watching or listening, stay tuned for our next one. We will share all that. But in the meantime, subscribe to our YouTube channel and share and comment and review and do all the things. So we hope you enjoyed this and we can't wait to be back. Thank you guys so much.